hi there, everybody. Do you know why my fantasy baseball team was so bad at the end of the year? I had high hopes. Hey, J-Dog Media, welcome. Clinton, Zoe, make J-Dog here feel welcome. Oz, John. Started off strong. Had a very good, was in the top 3 teams make it to the playoffs in each league. We have 2 leagues in our league. Was in that top 3 all year long. And then right at the end of the year dropped out, but I got a consolation playoff bracket. Won the first round handily, was doing well first half of the week, fell apart. What's that about? I blame whoever, who do you not like the most? Blame them. That's who I blame. I didn't even have that many Cardinals on my team. I think I had one Dargannon. That would have explained it, I know. But I had Michael McGreevy. I did forget to start him when he had that amazing start last week. I'll blame Congress. Yeah. Oh, Chip Carey was on WWDTM. Wait, don't tell me. Well, thank you for sympathizing, even if you aren't a baseball fan. I very much appreciate that. Okie dokie. I'm going to do the editor's desk. I have a meeting. Who am I, an office worker? I have a meeting at 1:30 Pacific because Jason Howell is going to Ireland. Now, before you go like, hold on, Mr. Saying you're cash strapped, you can afford to send Jason Howell to Ireland. We are not paying for it. The Irish government apparently is flying a bunch of people, and they offered to send Jason out there. It's during the NFL game, and it's to have him meet with a bunch of Irish startups. It's basically promoting the Irish tech scene, like the domestic tech scene. I think they're trying to combat the perception that Ireland, it's just the place Meta has its headquarters so it can avoid taxes and regulation, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to be like, no, we've got some great native startups right here. Check them out. And so Jason's going to check them out. And then we'll have some of his interviews on Daily Tech News Show. We'll just roll those in on DTNS. And I think we're going to do a special video package of his whole thing, like just telling the story. That anyway, what's going to be in that video package and the strategy on those interviews is what we're talking about at 1:30. So that's what I'm doing. Lawn Dog says, we like Jason Howell. You know what? We do too. I think we all do. Also, meetings should be illegal. Yeah, but we kind of need this one. See, sometimes you need to meet to talk about things, and it's called a meeting, but it's not bad. It's weird that way. All right, I need to do the editor's desk. Now, what have I done? I need to move things around. It's hard to move things around on the Rodecaster 1 on your soundboard, you know, because what I don't want is that. That's no good. That's geese. Or a pile driver. No, we don't need that.
Future events such as these.
You know, that's fun, but not what we want. Yeah, there we go. That's what we want. You know, coffee could be involved in the meeting for me, Zoe, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Dark Cannon, that should be the slogan. Ireland, we're not just European Delaware. I'm going to suggest that we make that the title of Jason's video. Because my idea, and we'll see what we end up with after the meeting, my idea is that you do these interviews with the startups, we roll them into DTNS, or maybe do some weekend packages, you know, to be like, here's an interesting tech startup in Ireland, here's what they're doing. And we're above board, like, you know, Ireland sent Jason there to find out. But then the video would be Jason kind of telling the story of this whole thing, how it came to be, getting on the plane, going to the football game, how that's different, none really, all of that stuff. So we'll see if he's game for that. All right. I need to do the editor's desk. Also, I have a question. I have a question for all of you. Actually, maybe I should ask that question on the editor's desk. Hold, please.
Evolution takes centuries.
That's not the intro. All right, here we go. In 3, 2.
And now, the editor's desk.
Thank you, Howard. It's good to be here for the editor's desk. I have a question for all of you because lately I have been streaming my recording of the editor's desk more often. It's something I used to do every once in a while. I'd do in office hours. I'd record the editor's desk. I'd get, y'all watching live would get to see me do the editor's desk. Maybe if you've heard me record the editor's desk, on occasion I might refer to someone in chat giving away that I'm recording it live. But the editor's desk is only delivered as a podcast in audio on Patreon. But since I've been doing it every week, I have a conundrum, which is there are now 3 versions of the editor's desk. One you can get for free, which I'm like, okay, how much does that annoy you that I could go to YouTube and watch an office hours and find the editor's desk in it versus the got to be a patron to have it served to you on an RSS tray? The other thing is, if you are a patron, the office hours also gets delivered as a podcast on the DTNS live feed, and then you're getting the editor's desk twice. That's got to ruffle a feather or two, right? So, people who enjoy the live stream, patron or not, would you be all right if I restricted the editor's desk to just Patreon? And people on the Patreon who don't do the live stream, are you like, no, let them have it. It's fine. I don't mind. Because one thought I had was do the office hours started on Patreon only, or maybe ended on Patreon only. And then, because I think you can add streams, but anyway, just part of it be on Patreon and then add in everybody else. I don't know. Just thoughts right now. I could also just not do the editor's desk as part of the Tuesday office hours. There's that too. David writes, I've been a fan of DTNS since the very start. I remember listening with excitement to your very first episodes. I've barely missed an episode since, and I've enjoyed every major change you've made since those early days. However, I have to admit I'm struggling with these latest changes. Not exactly sure why. I think one thing I love about podcasts is consistency. I like podcasts to have a formula upon which every episode is based. In addition, I like them to have structure and not just be free-form talking. And that is why I think I've been thrown off by having office hours, which is just free-form talking on one day, live with it on another, and DTNS live on another. And yes, I know I can limit myself to just briefing since that ticks all my boxes, but I don't want to give up on a feed I've had for over a decade. Being a day one fan, I'm going to stick with it, and I accept that I might come to love it. When and if that happens, I'll be sure to let you know, and I sincerely hope that anyone else who might be having the same qualms as me will have the same patience as me too. Kind regards, David. Thank you, David. That is lovely. I appreciate the sentiments. I also asked him, like, if I put office hours in its own feed, like maybe we put it in the bonus feed or created a feed for it, would that make a difference? And he's like, I don't know. I totally understand why you made these changes. Can't be cheap producing such high quality content, etc. Thank you, David. Yeah, I think it's a perception thing because you have not had this feed for 10 years. The DTNS feed is the briefing. And there was no Patreon feed until they implemented RSS. So the feed that's been around for more than 10 years is briefing. But it's interesting, and I'm not trying to like, you're wrong. I'm saying it's interesting that you think of the DTNS Live as the one that you've had for 10 years. I think that is important to understand. And maybe the DTNS Live feed should just be DTNS Live. Live with it should be live with it. I don't know. I put the office hours and the hangout at the same time as DTNS Live so that people who are used to showing up at 1:00 get something. And then I'm like, well, let me put it in the DTNS Live feed on Patreon so that people who are used to having something in that feed every day get something. But maybe it's better to just separate them out. Maybe it's better to have it as bonus. I don't think there's a wrong answer. Molly likes the live stream. Thank you, Molly. Not Molly Wood, Molly Fanton. Darganon says, I'm GM level and don't personally care who gets the content. I support you to support you, not to hold the content hostage. It's kind of the way I feel, is that the Patreon is to give value back for the value you get. And then I make it a little easier to get it because you get it delivered ad free and all that. Oh, well, there you go. David, that is thought provoking. I'm curious if there are others who have thoughts on that as well, whether it's in support of David or not. But I appreciate David taking the time to thoughtfully express that. That is important and extremely helpful. Also got this from Jason. A join me recording. He says it's probably not that great, but feel free to use it if you want. I thought it was pretty great. Jason says, the new format actually works for me. I was having trouble keeping up with the daily live, but now getting the briefing plus the live is enough and still leaves enough space in my listening hours budget for editor's desk and office hours. I'm sure with the changes, there are a few people that aren't sure what they're missing or where to get it. There's even a few things you occasionally mention I think I might be interested in, but wouldn't really know how to find it. Speaking of which, is that book you're finishing going to be available to any of us that weren't able to purchase pre-sales through your now defunct publisher? It sounds interesting. I'd love to buy it if it ever becomes for sale again anywhere. I'd even pay extra for audiobook if you narrated it. Yes, update on Synced. I am a mere 54 pages away from the first run through. Then I have to make a second run through. The second run through will be much faster than the first run through. And then I'll be able to send it to the people who I have contact information for. And I will make it available for folks to get, even if you didn't support the creation of it in the first place. And I will probably do an audiobook for it. Those are hard and take a long time, but I'll do it. Maybe I'll do the audiobook on office hours. Oh, what do you think of that? That way you could get it piecemeal if you want, but then I'll have to like put it all together at the end I don't know. Yeah. I think so. I think I want to do that. Anyway, let's listen to Jason's promo.
Hi, I'm Jay, and I support DTNS on Patreon because with DTNS, I get the tech news and only the tech news, and the context to always know a little more. Join nerds like me and support DTNS on Patreon.
That was pretty great. That's the spirit, Jason. So if we get a few more of those, I mean, I'll run Jason's at some point anyway, but I was like, let me get a few of these and then we can have a rotation of them in here. I better put this in a folder I won't forget. All right. That's it for the editor's desk emails. So if you've got thoughts, if you've got follow-ups, if you've got additional questions, ever about anything, let me know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. I have a conundrum that I am dealing with right now. There's a Patreon event this evening. It will not be hard to get to. I am RSVP'd. It looks like it could be fun, but I'm starting to feel a little run down. I don't have any symptoms, but I'm like, should I rest? Should I not infect people? But I don't know if I'm infectious. Maybe I'm just tired. Or I went to an event last night and maybe I'm out of spoons, as they say. We'll see. We'll see how I feel tonight. But if I do go, I will report back. And I don't know if there's anybody going to the LA Patreon event on Tuesday night. Look me up if you hear this in time. All right. That's it for the Patreon Editor's Desk today. Thank you, everybody, for being along. And I will end it this way this time. We love you. We appreciate your support very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Evolution takes centuries. We don't have that kind of patience.
I don't know why I decided to do that, but there you go. All right. Let's see. Patreon. Yeah, there's the vid going around again. So like I said, I don't have any symptoms. It's that weird, like, feel a little more tired than I feel like I ought to feel. Is it just because I went out last night? Not went out, I didn't party or anything. I went to a Matt Dinneman book signing. It was very enjoyable, but I was out alone in front of a lot of strangers, which always wears me out. So I don't know. Is it just that? I think what's really in my head is Eileen got sick last week and I didn't. I could always put a mask on if you're worried about spreading, for sure, the spreading part. But I'm also worried about overdoing it and then getting sick when, if I had rested, I would have avoided it, kind of thing. And yeah, Eileen's fine today, but she was fighting something last week and I didn't get it. So I'm like, oh, is it just delayed onset? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Probably am. That is a thing I do, especially when it comes to health issues. All right. Editor's desk, if that's your real name. Well, yes, of course I love Donut. Who doesn't? But I also love Katya and Mordecai and, of course, Carl. Darganon said he felt the way I did. And then by the time he got home from Vegas, it was COVID. And I just got home from Vegas. Prepotente. Yes, Prepotente as well. If you are like, what are these names you're stringing off, Tom? These are characters from the amazing Dungeon Crawler Carl series from Matt Dinneman. And that was the book signing I went to. Felicia Day did the interview. So as you would expect, it was fantastic. Really good interview. In the Sword and Laser Discord, I actually did a running commentary of some of the things that Dinneman was saying. Yeah, it was good. It was real fun. Okay, so I had David's question and then, more news on Tom's book. How about that for the title? Tom's book. Editor's desk. David shares his thoughts on DTNS Live and office hours and a question about Tom's book Synced and for people who never backed it. Yeah, that works. All right. This is paid access for those folks. It is a bonus podcast. It goes in the Editor's Desk collection. All right. Publish that. Whoa, why didn't? Okay. It grayed out the publish button for a second, but then it came back. So, hi, Nick. KT Data says, I still need to start reading or listening to that, but I'm around a large concentration of DCC fans, so I pick up that stuff. New achievement. Yeah, I'll have to update tomsnewbook.com when that comes. Oh my gosh, Cliff Singer is right. The narration is great. In fact, calling it narration undersells it, right? Like Jeff Hayes does all the voices and does a freaking performance of the audiobook. It's crazy good. J-Dog has a question that I don't have an answer to, but maybe some other folks in the chat do. Is Microsoft Access still heavily used, or can you replace it just by using Excel and other tools? I'm learning about it now and understand it used to be used very widely. I have a Microsoft Access account through my ISP, my business ISP, and I never use it. But I never did, so I defer to folks in the audience if Access is still worth learning, I think is what he's asking. Like, it's definitely on the wane, but are there still enough people? Darganon says, I haven't known anyone to use Access in a long time. And he's got Darth Vader as a symbol, so it makes me think of saying it. Now, that's a name I haven't heard of in a long time. Yes, KT Data shoved food in my mouth and I gave him the Prepotente scream. And also adds, I used Microsoft Access once, then I ran away screaming and used Microsoft SQL or SQL. Zoe was thinking the same thing recently, but doesn't think it's really that useful. Ryan says, in the world of DB platforms, it's easier to build from, much like Apple's Stacks. Stacks? What was that? Ryan wrote that about himself, by the way. All right. That's the editor's desk. Good and published. I'm going to knock it off my calendar. You guys are having lots of good comments here for Darganon. This is great. SQL is worth learning. How different is Access from any other variant of SQL? John says there's a lot of legacy Access code out there. Not much new dev work going on. That's a very good answer. In other words, like if you think you might need to maintain Access, probably worth learning. But if you're looking for new stuff, not. Also, Ryan is now all caps correcting himself. Freaking HyperCard. And Nick says maybe replace it with MariaDB or LibreOffice DB. This is excellent. Helping each other understand going on here. I love this. Microsoft Access is SQL light levels of SQL, so it doesn't support the entire language, says Oz. And then Ryan makes one last plea that the GUI in Access is the harder part to give up. So yeah, it sounds like not that much going on with it, but depends on your situation. If you are able to, if you are anticipating that you'll have to maintain an Access database or there's one around, then yeah, probably worth learning. Otherwise, probably other options out there. Are we here to talk about the Scratchgate? No, Scratchgate. It's always something, isn't it? Every product launch. Oh, it's got a yellow spot. Riddle me this, bet people. Name one Apple or Samsung launch controversy that you can still find as a problem today. I'll wait. Yellow dots, yellowing screen. Even the bendy stuff, which is probably the worst one, because there really was some bending going on. Like, people just forgot about it. Oh, and one last from Oz. MySQL is still free, so that might be better to learn SQL rather than Access. I mean, did iPhone 4 keep... Yeah, I guess because they released the bumpers, J-Dog. That's another good example of one that they had to address. Exceptions that prove the rule. So AntennaGate and the bendies are the closest to ones that actually ended up being problems. But most of them, at every launch, there's like, oh, it scratches. Oh, it's got a yellow spot. Oh, it's got this. Most of them end up being nothing. Ooh, KT Data, I'm with you on that. Gate. The upcoming controversy when people complain that there wasn't a launch controversy. Hey, Clinton, enjoy your tacos. Happy Hour steak tacos sound great. I already ate my lunch. It's too late. Disney Plus is raising its prices, so get ready for everyone to say they're going to cancel Disney Plus and then not do it. Where is Molly Wood? Well, Molly Wood and I do a show every week called It's a Thing at it'sathing.me. I do miss Cooley, though. Or do you mean Tong? I miss Tong, too. I see Tong every once in a while because he's in L.A. I run into him. But yeah, Molly is around. She's got her own podcast on environmental tech, which is fantastic, called Everyone in the Pool. Go check that out. And in it'sathing.me, you can get me and Molly sometimes talking tech, but talking all kinds of crazy things, which we always did. Grilled chimichurri, steak, cabbage, pico, pickled onion, spicy. Yeah, I'm in for all of that, Clinton. My iPhone 4 won't hold a charge, says G. James B. So there you go. Jerry Rig Everything had no screen scratches at level 6 or 7. Interesting. I don't think everybody canceled Disney Plus last week. Everybody in the pool. What did I say, Nick? Thank you for the catch. I think I said everyone. Everybody in the pool. Go look up everybody in the pool, Mollywood. 6-7. Ambassador Domo. How did I miss that? Everything is 6-7. Everybody in the pool. You know what? To make up for that, I'm going to show it on the screen. This will help me never make that mistake again. It's the podcast economy, stupid. No, it's a podcast for the climate economy. Why is it off screen in my... There. That was weird. You can listen on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or support the show in Acast. Look, it's Molly Wood.
Welcome to everybody in the pool.
Everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Molly. I like this attitude. I stopped caring about scratches and dings on my phone. They're like wrinkles, and they tell the story of its life. All of these lines upon my phone tell you the story of who I called. I now have gone from never having a case to dropping the iPhone 7 and cracking it 2 days before my new one came, to now having a mil-spec case with a screen protector. The screen protector didn't even protect my screen earlier this year. I wondered if that was the song, Darganon. We need to have Suno do a cover version of the story by Brandi Carlile about phones. All right, Nick has a serious question, everybody. How long before a new technology comes along that isn't immediately co-opted by pyramid scammers a la blockchain, NFTs, and AI? I think that AI is being co-opted less than NFTs and blockchain were. And I think blockchain is actually simmering along with some respectable usages that are outside of the mainstream attention. NFTs... You got me there. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people grifting on AI, but that's like asking when will grifters go away? Because with AI, to me, it's like, well, there's a real product there. And whenever there's a real product that is new and people are enthusiastic about, somebody's going to try to take advantage of it. That just always happens. So yeah, the answer is never, I'm sad to say. G. James B. My screen protectors protect me from my cracked screen. I'm not locked in. You're not locked in here with... Wait. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Is AI really new? Yeah, well, it depends on what you need. This is why I avoid saying AI, Ambassador Domo, because it allows you to say things like that, which are totally legitimate. But LLMs are new. And I think there's something new about what LLMs can do. Yeah, you can argue well, it's just magical search, but I think there's something new about that. And machine learning is older but getting better. Judging by my dad's YouTube history, AI is being abused heavily. Yeah, that's totally fair. All right, let's do some news checking. This is something I do multiple times throughout the day, whether I'm streaming or not. Thanks, Ryan. I will say hi to Jason from all of you, all y'all, as they say. Why? Huh. That screenshot is not working properly. It's not showing my tab. Chrome tab. Oh, because I picked tab instead of window. Oh. Okay, so here's an annoyance. Usually I just grab a window and then I can switch between tabs to share it on StreamYard. I accidentally chose share tab. That's why when I switched tabs, it didn't switch. And so when I went to choose window, it's like, ooh, display sharing is off. You know why I turned off display or screen sharing? I had to turn it off because I couldn't watch video on my own laptop because I had display sharing on. And so DRM says, I don't know, you might try to capture this and pirate it, so you can't watch it. So now I have to manually go in, turn display sharing on and off for multiple devices, including browser for StreamYard, the Elgato for my prompter, if I want to be able to watch video on my own laptop that I bought with services that I paid for. DRM, Dr. M, rears its evil head once again. All right. Off my soapbox. No, Eliza was not an LLM. It was not a large language model. Eliza was a predictive algorithm. It wasn't even predictive, actually. I think it was just it's an algorithm. Algorithms are not new. Thank you, Nick with a C, for clarifying. Y'all is just you. All y'all is the group, and all of y'all is everybody. Hi, Sang. So, YouTube to reinstate users banned for misinformation. Okay, might be interesting. I don't think it's for cord killers, but maybe for DTNS. Amazon closing all the fresh grocery stores. That's showing that their bet on retail not going as well as they would hope. What is this? See, now you can't see
Michelle, taking a step.
Oh, this is a video from TV. Okay. NVIDIA's $100 billion deal makes sense. Time to buy NVIDIA. It's down. That is not actual financial advice. That's just me making a joke that when something goes down, like NVIDIA, probably going to go back up again. Not guaranteed to, though. Macron forced to walk to UN. These are all news. News. Chat control. Denmark wants to control. Oh, it's all in Danish. Okay, there's not much going on there. Let's take a look at TechMeme. I did dig in a little bit on the OpenAI NVIDIA thing this morning. Amazon is the Google of brick and mortar. Start them up, shut them down. What are your thoughts on robot umpires and 2026 MLB challenge system? Hold that thought. 2026 MLB challenge system, because I have thoughts. Well, let me look at TechMeme, Secret Service, Sim Farm. We did that. Larry Ellison is turning into a media magnet. Okay, good. Yeah, I couldn't have told you that. Message translation. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot burning up the charts here. We did all of this on DTNS this morning. Firefox could translate Danish. I just didn't do it. That is actually one of my signals, Nick. If something is not in English, and I'm unsure if it's really a big story, I'll wait to see if somebody puts out an English version of the story. Because if that tells me like, oh, it was worth the trouble to translate. Meta Super PAC. Discount. Prepaid Uber passes. The Savant got canceled. Jim Jordan, YouTube says it will reinstate creators. And yeah, this is new. Okay, so what's this? YouTube will provide it for all creators. Rejoin the upcoming tournament. And elections integrity policies that are no longer in effect. YouTube values conservative voices. Okay, this is just part of that trend. Research. Low productivity gains from AI may stem from employees using AI to produce work slop or low effort, passable work that creates more work for others. I adore that. That's funny. So it's not that the AI is bad. It's that the people using it were like, oh, that's easy. It's easy. I don't care if it's any good. Just as long as it's enough to get me by. Whereas if they did it themselves, they wouldn't be able to do as bad of a job at it. Fascinating. Stripe talks to buy back shares from VC backers. Mr. Beast. ChatGPT Go in Indonesia for $4.50 a month. Okay. That's interesting. They're doing the Netflix thing. Variable pricing and I guess YouTube and Meta did it too with Facebook. Yeah, that's interesting. OpenAI launching ChatGPT Go. Turns out this hammer sucks at screwing screws in, but I used it anyway. That's kind of right, Nick. They don't iterate on the results and just take the first result. Right. Like they would, it's like, well, I got a result. It would have taken them longer to get a result, and they would have had to do work to get a result that would have made it better. But since they get a result, they just take it. So fascinating. All right, let's get to the MLB AI stuff. You know what though? Actually, hold on. I didn't click into that Harvard Business Review story. I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. I think I'm getting it right. Fully led double last year. I found that 95% see no measurable return. Our research team, in collaboration with Stanford Social Media Lab, has identified one possible reason. Employers are using AI tools to create low-effort, passable-looking work that ends up creating more work for their coworkers. AI tools become more accessible. Workers are increasingly able to quickly produce polished output, well-formatted slides, long structured reports. But while some employees are using this to polish good work, others use it to create content that is actually unhelpful, incomplete, or missing context. It shifts the burden of the work downstream, requiring the receiver to interpret, correct, or redo the work. Of 1,150 U.S.-based full-time employees across industries, 40% report having received work slop in the last month. Employees who have encountered work slop estimate that an average of 15% of the content they receive qualifies. The phenomenon occurs mostly between peers, but also sent to managers by direct reports. 16% of the time, work slop flows down the ladder from managers to their teams, or even from higher up than that. When asked about their experience with one individual contributor, described the impact. It created a situation where I had to decide whether I could rewrite it myself, make him rewrite it, or just call it good enough. Each incident of work slop carries real costs for the companies. Yeah. In some ways, this is not a new story. There's always been sloppy work. We're prone to procrastination. Gen AI gives us new technology with which to lean into the same old bad habits, but now with the added cost of creating more work for colleagues. Indiscriminate imperatives yield indiscriminate usage. When organizational leaders advocate for AI everywhere all the time, they model a lack of discernment in how to apply the technology. Our labs have been tracking predictors. We found workers with a combination of high agency and high optimism are much more likely to adopt Gen AI than those with low agency. Perhaps even more importantly, though, given these findings, is how recommit to collaboration. Yeah. This is all what I thought. Okay. 29-26. Oops. Here we go. All right. Robot umps. Who are we going with? Let's go with AP. Robot umpires are getting called up to the big leagues. Automated ball strike system for the major leagues in 2026. Human plate umpires will call balls and strikes, but teams can challenge 2 calls per game and get additional appeals in extra innings. Challenges must be made by a pitcher, catcher, or batter, signaled by tapping their helmet or cap, and a team retains its challenge if successful. Reviews will be shown as digital graphics on outfield video boards. So, yeah, I read about this before. It sounds like they've adopted pretty much what they were going to adopt, which is there will be an automated system determining balls and strikes. This is going to work differently than it worked in the minors. In the minors, ABS was there all the time to inform the umpire. So they would see it all the time, then they would make a call, and then they would be evaluated on how often they differed from the ABS call. So the umpire was still calling it, but they were getting it, and they couldn't deviate more often. That was putting the burden on the umpire to decide when the ABS was wrong. This says the umpires are just going to make their calls, and the burden is now on the team to say, pretty sure that was a ball or a strike, the opposite of what they called. Let's go to ABS. And then the ABS gets the final call on whether it really was. I don't like this as much. I preferred the system where the umpire saw ABS and that guided them to make better calls. And they could decide if ABS was wrong versus this, which makes ABS the impartial final arbiter in all cases, which is going to encourage teams to figure out the quirk in the ABS system that they can exploit to overturn a call. But they only get a couple, so it's going to be limited in how impactful it can be. Adding robot umps will cut down on ejections, because you're not allowed to argue balls and strikes. You're now allowed to challenge them. That's an interesting part of this too. You're not allowed to argue balls and strikes. You get tossed out of the game for that. But you're now introducing a way to challenge them, which is essentially arguing a ball and strike. According to ump scorecards, umpires called 94% of pitches correctly. For the challenge format, overusing the technology to call every pitch was a key factor. ABS, which utilizes Hawkeye cameras, has been tested in the minor leagues since 2019. Was in AAA at the start of the 2023 season. All challenge system went in AAA in June of 2024. Teams won 52% of their ball strike challenges. That's interesting. The average challenge per game increased from 4.2, decreased per game. No, wait, increased to 4.2 from 3.9 through Sunday. Success rate dropped below 50%. 4 of 5 challenges of plate umpire Dan Iasonia's calls were successful in the All-Star game. AAA teams do not get extra challenges in extra innings. The proposal approved Tuesday included provision granting teams 1 additional challenge each inning if they don't have challenges remaining. MLB has experimented with different shapes and interpretations of the strike zone, blah, 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 blah. This will be MLB's first major rule change since 2024 when they introduced the pitch clock, defensive shifts, pitcher disengagements, and larger bases. Oh, this is a way to preserve pitch framing. That's where the catcher, like the ball comes out here and the catcher does this to try to affect the umpire. Why do you want to preserve that? Wouldn't you want it to just be accurate? Sometimes traditionalists get a little crazy in baseball. Management officials included Seattle Chairman John Stanton, St. Louis CEO Bill DeWitt Jr., San Francisco Chairman Greg Johnson, Colorado CEO Dick Monfort. And players included Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Casey Mize, Cal Raleigh, Austin Slater, Ian Happett. All right. Well, there you go. I think that I overall like it. I sort of preferred... Yeah, if you lose pitch framing, there might not be as many wild pitches. That's a reasonable supposition. I'm not using Firefox for my screen capture. That's why you're seeing all those ads come up. I run Chrome without any ad restrictions so that I can see what it's like, and it doesn't have run into any issues where like you're using an ad blocker. And then Firefox, I don't use ad blockers, but on Firefox I use, just the default permissions, and it usually is pretty good. Hey, Willie Scott. I like this. I don't like it as much. Like I said, I would have preferred the system where the umpires were just using ABS, but they called the balls and strikes. But that wouldn't have allowed the challenges system, but I'm fine with that. I actually don't want challenges. You know what? If somebody gets thrown out of the game for arguing balls and strikes, that's great. They shouldn't argue balls and strikes. Like, I don't think reducing the number of ejections for bad behavior is such an important goal that it's worth it. But if I can't get my preferred system, this is a decent one, where umpires just keep doing what they're doing. That's going to make it a lot easier for other people to accept. And then you can appeal to ABS. I don't love an automatic system being in the position of final judge. It's like, well, then why not just use it all the time? I think maybe that's where we're headed. This is a way to get traditionalists to accept it. And then once you get it in the door, it's like having video replay allowed at all eventually led to being able to appeal to replays for stuff. Yeah, the umps already get dinged for bad calls, Larry, right? So, yeah. Challenge system slows down the game, but it hasn't slowed it down more than the gains in speeding up the game from the pitch clock. So, I guess they're just spending the dividend. Yeah, get it in the door, fine-tune it, then let it take over. 30 years, I'll be dead. Probably. But in 30 years, they'll probably just have ABS, the automatic balls and strikes. So, all right. I'm going to call it there. We're going to call the game. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I'm going to jet out of here so I can get ready for discussing that Ireland trip with Jason and Joe and Roger. If you want to make some appeals like we played earlier, like, hey, I enjoy Patreon, maybe you would too, kind of thing, please send them my way. Someone asked me to make a link which Scott Johnson uses for sending in voicemails, so I might do that. But if you're like, wait, Ireland, go check out the beginning of the stream. We had to start a little early because I have this meeting about sending Jason to Ireland, Jason getting sent to Ireland, I guess. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your glorious Tuesday. And may someday we all go to Ireland. Oh, how was the JSX, Sang asked. Ask me that again, Sang. Short version, brilliant. Just felt like flying a regular old airline, except I saved hours because I showed up 30 minutes before my flight, which you might be like, oh my God, what a panic. And I was too early. I had to sit and wait for 15 minutes. Super easy to get out of on the other end in Las Vegas. Took us 5 minutes to get to our hotel. Crazy good. Crazy good. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.